So I just saw Ad Astra, the latest movie from director James Gray. And if you don't know who that is, he's the director of some decent movies, like The Grey. No, that's a joke. He directed movies like The Immigrant and The Lost City of Z, which aren't movies I've particularly loved or really even liked, but he's always been a director that has interested me. And so when I saw him directing a new space movie starring Brad Pitt with a trailer that looked like it was very full of itself and also Avengers level stakes action kind of blockbuster, I said, this is going to be weird. And so I went and saw it.
This is Major Roy McBride. I'm attempting to reach Dr. Clifford McBride. This is Dr. McBride's son.
I think this movie kind of completely nails almost everything it's going for. There's only a few things that I didn't really care for, and it's so minor that they didn't really affect my viewing experience all that much at all. The main thing is that I feel like its message was a little heavy-handed, especially near the end when it just kind of explains everything it's going for. I wish it was a little bit more subtle with it. I wish it was a little bit more restrained, kind of less hand-holding to go along with that. And there's just some dumb things here and there too, where there's one part where Brad Pitt hurls himself through Neptune's rings with a little door trying to block space debris. And I was like, that's dumb. That's really dumb. And there's also a part when he's kind of going crazy on board a ship because he doesn't have any contact with people, and so he's like shaking his head around and muttering to himself. I'm like, that's dumb. A lot of it is kind of at the end. Everything up until the last 20 minutes I think was as close to flawless as this story could be, and it is just the end where there's a few things here and there that I just didn't really care for. But other than that, I think this movie absolutely nails everything that it's trying to accomplish, and it does so in a very entertaining, tightly paced, 2-hour space epic kind of thing. I really, really enjoyed this movie. Everything from the performances all the way down to just the minor details in the world really worked for me. I loved Brad Pitt as the lead in this movie, and every other little kind of cameo in this movie really worked for me too. Ruth Negga, Donald Sutherland, Tommy Lee Jones, on and on. They're all very good in this movie. I really liked the aesthetic. The look of the movie is really nice. The color palette, everything. Every set piece that this movie goes to has a clear and distinct color palette that makes everything in that sequence more interesting because it looks so visually different than everything else in the movie. Earth has a very clear color palette, and the moon has kind of this dirty, grungy kind of color palette, and then they go to Mars, and Mars has this kind of vibrant reds and oranges, and then they go to Neptune, and it's these blues, and it just is very striking. The whole movie is very striking. There's lots of breathtaking cinematography in this movie. There's lots of great camera work. And the music, too, is really great. There's a couple moments when it feels a little emotionally manipulative, like I said, near the end, where most of the problems are. But it's really nice. There's lots of nice organs. There's lots of nice strings. It's a great score. It's a really solid score. All of the technical stuff, this movie just nails. It absolutely nails it. The visual effects, I would imagine most of this movie is just VFX, and all of them feel close to seamless. There's a couple that stand out, but not too many. In an overly CG movie, it looks really great. The VFX in this movie and the VFX artists really clearly put a lot of time into making this movie look as good as possible. There's a lot of, shots of these planets and Jupiter, Neptune. There's lots of, space flying and people walking through space, and it all just looks great.
Please describe your current mental and emotional state.
I'm feeling good. Ready to do my job to the best of my abilities.
What makes a movie is characters, story, and storytelling. And this movie, I think, hits it really well. Hits the nail on the head, as they say. The main character is Brad Pitt. His name is McBride, Roy McBride, and he plays this character who is very restrained. He's kind of similar to Ryan Gosling's character in Blade Runner 2049. He has some emotional outbursts, but he seems to be trying to corral his emotions, and it makes for a very interesting character, especially where the story takes him. And the story here is very simple. It's just there's a project, a top secret government project, all the way out on Neptune with Brad Pitt's father and a tiny crew, and they're trying to find extraterrestrial life. They're trying to prove that there's life beyond human, the solar system. It's trying to prove extraterrestrial life. And there's a power surge that comes from it that kind of damages the electrical systems on Earth, and people get killed, so they send Brad Pitt to destroy the Lima project. They're not sure if Brad Pitt's dad's alive or if he's not, so they just say, just go blow it up so that it won't destroy anything else and it won't kill anybody else. And that's essentially what the whole story is, and it's just kind of Brad Pitt moving from set piece to set piece until he gets to the end set piece on Neptune with the Lima project. But in between all of these set pieces, there's a lot of interesting character work going on. He kind of goes, again, from one thing to another. People are getting killed all around him, whether it's from his direct interaction with them or not. And he takes this very just calm, mundane approach to everything. They say at one point that his heart rate never goes above like 80 BPM. He's always very cool and very collected regardless of what's happening. But throughout the whole movie, there's inner monologues with him where he is constantly sort of questioning himself and questioning whether he should be going through with this. And it makes for an interesting character because obviously he has a lot of turmoil going on inside him while he's trying to put on this very calm persona as he goes to try and see if his dad's still alive, who he has a very rocky past with. He views him as the parental figure he never had, and he kind of hates him for ditching him to go to the end of the solar system. He says he abandoned him, and he kind of hates him for that. So he's going on this mission specifically to kind of get closure on that part of his life. And that part of his life has sort of forced him into himself. He doesn't want to connect with people. He doesn't want to reach out to people because he feels maybe like he will have a similar interaction with his dad where they'll just ditch him and then he'll be left to deal with that on his own.
We're counting on you to find out what's happening out there.
And the overall message of the movie seems to be just that human connection. It's a very straightforward and, again, even heavy-handed message where it's just Brad Pitt went to the ends of the solar system to try and get closure on something and talk to somebody who obviously doesn't care about him. And he ditched his life on Earth and all the people that care about him on Earth to go find something that doesn't care about him. The world here is very well developed. For how little you see of it, you really get a grasp on what's going on in the world in this near future time. He goes to the moon and you see that it's kind of become a tourist trap. People go to the moon just to see the sights, and it's kind of the Wild West out there. So there's like bandits and rovers attacking people to try and steal their stuff, to live out in seclusion. And there's a lot of little details sprinkled throughout this movie that make the world way more interesting.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It's in fact very interesting, and I really enjoyed it. So I'll probably give it an 8? An 8 out of 10? Maybe a 7? I do want to rewatch it. So we'll see how that rating changes on a second watch. But I'm going to stick with an 8. I really, really enjoyed this movie. And I'd say go see it. Yeah, weird. Really weird. Good though. I really, really enjoyed that. It's really nice. Oh. There you go.